Right now, Starbucks is holding billions of dollars of your money. Not as revenue, they haven't earned it yet. They're just holding it, interest-free, in their account, because you loaded it onto a gift card or the app and you haven't spent it yet. And here's the part most people never think about. Some of that money they'll never have to give back at all. Maybe you have $1.50 sitting on a Starbucks card right now. You're not going to tap just to use up $1.50. So you'll leave it. Multiply that by tens of millions of people, each with a small balance quietly sitting there. And Starbucks is holding millions of dollars it will never have to spend a single bean on. That's not a rounding error. It's a business strategy. The coffee, the frappuccinos, the $5 cups, that's all real. But when you understand how Starbucks actually makes its money, you realize the cup of coffee is the least interesting part of the story. This company is doing something most people miss completely, and once you see it, you'll look at every loyalty card, every preloaded app, every gift card balance you've ever left sitting unused in a completely different way. Today, I'll show you how Starbucks really makes money, why it might be the most financially sophisticated retailer in the world, and the investing lesson hidden inside your morning coffee. Let's get into it. I'm Mr. Finance, and this is the series where we crack open famous companies to find how they actually make money, because that's the exact skill smart investing is built on. Subscribing takes one tap. Now let's follow the money inside that green cup. The obvious story is that Starbucks is a coffee company. It buys beans, trains baristas, builds stores on every corner, charges $5 or $6 a drink, and keeps the profit. And that story is real enough. Starbucks sells tens of billions of dollars of drinks a year. The margins on the drinks are genuine, and the brand is one of the most powerful on earth. But when you add the full picture, rent on thousands of locations in some of the most expensive real estate on earth, the labor to staff them, the supply chain behind them, the coffee business is a far more modest profit engine than it looks. The margin on a single latte is handsome. The cost of the empire delivering it is enormous. To find the really clever part, you have to look at what happens before you ever order a drink, the moment you load money onto the app or hand over a gift card. Here's the mechanism, and it has a name: the float. When you load $20 onto your Starbucks app, that money moves from your bank account to Starbucks instantly, but they haven't given you anything yet. No coffee, no service. They're just holding your money as a liability on their books, a promise of future coffee. And while they hold it, they can use it. Now scale it. Starbucks has hundreds of millions of active loyalty accounts and billions of dollars sitting in preloaded balances at any moment. Real dollars already moved from customers, not yet exchanged for anything. Starbucks holds it essentially interest-free, a rolling fund of customer cash always being loaded, spent, and reloaded. It functions like a bank's deposit base, except Starbucks never pays you interest on it. Most of it gets spent eventually, so the float isn't permanent profit. It's a constantly revolving loan customers hand them for free. But free is the key word, and the volume is staggering. And some of that money in the vault, Starbucks never has to give back at all. Here's the concept that made this video worth making. The detail that'll stick with you every time you look at a gift card for the rest of your life. It's called breakage, gift card and preloaded money that customers simply never redeem. It happens like this. You load $20, you spend $18.50 over a few visits. Now you have $1.50 left, and you're never going to make a trip just to use it up. The card ends up in a drawer. You give someone a $10 card they use for 8 and lose. The small balance just sits there quietly forever. Now do the math. Say 1 million cardholders each leave $1 they never use. That's $1 million Starbucks holds and never spends a bean on. Pure revenue at almost no cost, because the promise of coffee goes unclaimed. Scale that to tens of millions of users, and you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars a year booked as breakage. Starbucks even discloses it in their financial filings, recognizing the portion of unredeemed balances they estimate will never be spent. And it costs nothing to earn. No beans, no wages, no cup, no milk. A customer loaded money, never came back, and Starbucks keeps the cash. From a cost of goods view, it's essentially pure profit. A fair question: What does the card cost the customer? A physical gift card sometimes carries a small activation fee, and the moment you load the app, those dollars move to Starbucks before a cup is made. But what Starbucks does not charge is an annual fee, unlike Costco's $65 a year just to walk in. You pay when you load, not for the privilege of membership. And in return, customers get real value: stars toward free drinks, a birthday reward, mobile ordering, and personalized offers tuned to their exact habits. Both sides benefit. Starbucks gets the float and the data. The customer gets rewards and convenience. That mutual value is exactly what keeps the float growing. Moving from plastic cards to the app made it even better for Starbucks. Digital issuance costs almost nothing, and the app generates behavioral data: exact drink, time, location, and response to every offer that a plastic card never could. Lower cost, stronger float, richer data, all at once. The rewards program isn't just perks, it's a behavioral data engine that makes every other part of the business more profitable. Starbucks knows your favorite drink, your usual time, which limited offers pull you in. So the offers aren't random, they're precisely timed nudges. A double-star window during your usual hours, a discount on the drink you were going to buy anyway, designed to raise how often you visit and steer you toward higher margin items. The result: rewards members visit more, spend more, and stay more loyal. The free drinks aren't a cost. They're the price of admission to an engine that lifts revenue per member far beyond what those drinks cost. And it compounds. The longer a member stays, the richer the data, the better the targeting. A 5-year member and a new one are not the same asset. Before the float and the breakage, there's a coffee business, and it's the foundation everything else sits on. Starbucks earns the vast majority of its roughly $37 billion of revenue from one simple transaction. Someone walks in, orders a drink, and pays. Without the coffee, the card has nothing to load for. The gross margin on the drink itself is remarkable. A drip coffee runs 85 to 90% on ingredients, an espresso drink 65 to 75. You pay $6 for something that cost under $1.50 in coffee, milk, and syrup. That's one of the best ingredient margins in all of food and beverage, which is exactly why new cafes keep opening. But here's the most important distinction in small business finance: gross margin is not profit. After ingredients, labor eats 35 to 40% of revenue. Every cup needs a trained human, whether the store is busy or quiet. Rent takes 10 to 15, more in prime spots. Add utilities, supplies, insurance, equipment repair, and a typical independent cafe nets just 2.5 to 7%. Starbucks earns about $950,000 per company-run store a year, but at an 8% operating margin, the profit per store is far thinner than the revenue suggests. $37 billion of real money, earned by running a relentlessly efficient operation at enormous scale, not by effortless margins, which is why the third-place strategy matters. Founder Howard Schultz designed the atmosphere: the seating, the lighting, the Wi-Fi, the feeling that says stay a while, as a revenue strategy, not decoration. A customer who lingers buys a second drink. One who feels at home comes back tomorrow. Daily regulars are the only thing that makes the tight margin math work, and Starbucks built the most sophisticated machine ever made to manufacture that loyalty at global scale. Everything we've analyzed maps onto the economics you'd face as a small cafe owner. 3 lessons most people learn the expensive way. 1. The drink margin will seduce you, and then reality arrives. A latte that costs 80 cents and sells for 6 feels like the world's greatest business, until labor takes 40%, rent takes 15%, and the rest goes to supplies and insurance. A cafe doing $5,000 a week nets maybe $125 to $350. Go in with the full picture. 2. Location is the most consequential, most irreversible decision you make. Starbucks spends more effort on site selection than almost anything else. Great coffee in the wrong location struggles. Decent coffee in a high-traffic spot survives. 3. Your repeat customers are the entire business. You can't build a billion-dollar app, but you can know your regulars' names and orders before they ask. That personal relationship is your loyalty program. It costs nothing and beats any app per customer. Compete on what Starbucks structurally can't offer: community, personality, an owner present every day. The independent cafe that wins is never trying to be a smaller Starbucks. Starbucks earns over $37 billion a year and spends roughly $34 billion to do it. Operating margin sits around 8%, down from 15% a year earlier. That compression is the honest version of the story. The biggest cost is labor, around $17 billion. Every drink at 36,000 locations needs a trained person, and Starbucks pays more than most fast food rivals because the experience is the product. Next, ingredients and supply chain, roughly 11 to 12 billion, beans, dairy, syrups, cups, all exposed to commodity swings. Then store development. Building one location runs $350,000 to over $1 million, and Starbucks recently launched a $1 billion remodel program. And finally, marketing, the line that shows how the world changed. For decades, Starbucks spent almost nothing on ads. By 2024, it was spending nearly $600 million a year, fighting Dutch Bros, McCafe, Dunkin', and Chinese rivals for the same customer. The float and breakage are real advantages, but they operate inside a business that costs $34 billion a year to run. Amazon taught us the visible business can be the least profitable part. Costco taught us a membership model creates recurring, predictable profit. Starbucks teaches something different. A consumer brand at scale can function like a financial institution. The float, the breakage, the preloaded money sitting interest-free, those belong to a bank, not a cafe. Starbucks built a financial layer on top of its coffee layer, and that layer is extraordinary. The transferable skill is learning to ask two questions of any business. First, does this company hold customer money before it delivers anything, and what does it do with that money while it holds it? Any stored value program, subscription, or loyalty preload is potentially running a mini float. Insurers have done it forever. Second, what share of the money loaded here will never be redeemed? Gift cards, app credits, expiring points, every one is a potential breakage stream. The honesty anchor, as always, none of this is a recommendation to buy Starbucks or any stock. Understanding a business is step one of investing, not the whole job. Price, competition, and economic cycles all matter, and a great business can be a bad investment if you overpay. For most people, a low-cost index fund is still the sensible default. But asking, does this company hold my money and does it run a breakage stream, makes you a sharper, harder-to-fool reader of any business you meet. So next time you load money onto a Starbucks card, or any gift card, or any preloaded app, pause. That money moved to them the moment you hit confirm. You have a promise, they have the cash. And some small share of those promises, your leftover dollar, your forgotten card, your expired points, will never be called in. That gap between what's promised and what's redeemed is one of the quietest, most consistent profit streams in retail. Starbucks didn't invent it, but they scaled it into something extraordinary. I'm Mr. Finance. Subscribe if you want more of this. Companies cracked open, the real engine revealed, the investing lesson underneath. No hype. And tell me in the comments, which company should I crack open next? Now that you know about breakage, go check how much is left on any gift cards or loyalty apps you own. Someone's holding your money right now.